unlocking the secrets of the last century. In this vast vault in the UN's European headquarters in Geneva, the archives of the United Nations and of the organisation that preceded it, the League of Nations. Here, the files, letters, minutes and confidential memos from an era where everything was recorded on paper. The archives of the League, which started work in January 1920, 100 years ago, are currently being digitised. Some of these boxes haven't been opened since they were first sealed many decades ago. At the end of what was then known as the Great War, the League was supposed to bring new hope to the world. It was the idea of US President Woodrow Wilson, but he couldn't persuade Congress that the US should join the League.
It's a tough counterfactual to say, would things have been better if the U.S. had been in? Only if the U.S. could have been a reliable partner, right? And I think the jury's out on whether the U.S. could be a reliable partner. It's a long way away. It didn't want to engage on a lot of things, had a population that was sick of involvements in foreign wars.
In these halls, League diplomats worked as the 1930s brought recession, the Great Depression, and then the rise of Nazi Germany. Its permanent headquarters, the Palais des Nations, now the UN's base in Europe, was only completed in 1936. 3 years later, the League failed in its main task, keeping the peace, as a Second World War broke out. So what led to the League's demise? It was a time of rising nationalism around the world, with the US Congress pursuing an America First policy, reluctant to get involved in international affairs. And with the drums of war getting louder, the League was impotent and then became irrelevant. Any of that sound familiar? 100 years on, there are still lessons for the United Nations of today. James Bayes, Al Jazeera, the former League of Nations, now United Nations, in Geneva.